When the Sky-Dweller came out in 2012, it was heralded as the most complicated watch Rolex had made in forever. And it was, but no one bought one. Only available in precious metals, and with the price tag of a decent executive saloon, the collective chant could be heard almost from space. "I'll get one when they make it in steel." Well, now that time has come. With the cleverest calendar display this side of an H Moser, and a GMT mechanism thrown in for good measure, is now the time for the Sky-Dweller to shine? Let's get something clear first. This isn't strictly a steel watch. It's Rolex's brand of steel and gold, which it calls Rolesaur, and that means the bezel is in white gold. It gives the watch some heft and brings out the shine in the polished surfaces, but no doubt adds to the price without providing much of a benefit. That said, this fully functional annual calendar, that means the date display changes automatically in line with the number of days in that particular month and only needs adjustment once per year, is only £1,500 more than the brand's steel and ceramic Daytona chronograph. Cheap, it is not, but good value? It just might be. How would you measure value? After all, we've waited long enough for the savings of steel, so good value is an important metric worth paying attention to. The number of parts, perhaps? Sure, a complicated watch with a billion tiny parts is great for bragging rights, but Rolex took a different tack here. Innovation. It's what the brand does well, right the way back to the very first self-changing date display in 1945. The biggest innovation lies at the heart of the Sky-Dweller, in the caliber 9001. There are no less than 11 patents here making up the annual calendar system that Rolex calls Saros, and the beauty is in its simplicity. Where Patek Philippe managed to add parts when downsizing its perpetual calendar into an annual, the brains at Rolex devised a way to use just a few extra planetary gears to convert their date-changing system into a full-fledged annual calendar. The beauty is in the detail. As a month with 30 days reaches completion, the mechanism jumps straight to the first day of the new month, instantaneously. Here it is slowed down 5 times. Impossibly slick. But how do you know what month it is then? Do you guess? Nope, the brains at Rolex thought about that too. They figured that, as there's both 12 months in a year and 12 hours on a watch dial, that they could hide the month display beside each hour marker. Genius. With dial space to spare thanks to that handy little trick, there's even room for a GMT complication, off-centre no less, very mechanically tricky to accomplish, that rings the central hands. All this, still with a sensible 42mm case only 1.5 millimeters thicker than a Submariner's. But the best is yet to come. You see, a lot of complicated watches like this require an overabundance of hidden pushers to adjust everything, but that just isn't in keeping with the slick, simple Rolex way. So the brains at Rolex took a look at the fluted bezel and thought, I bet that grips well. And it does, which you'll discover when you turn it to access one of 4 setting positions. It starts in neutral. With the crown out, nothing happens. One turn anti-clockwise is the date and month adjustment, backwards and forwards, a nice touch. Another click adjusts local time in the same way as a GMT Master 2, and that last click adjusts the time. First seen on the Yacht Master 2, this ring command bezel is one of those ideas that makes you wonder, why has no one ever thought of this before? Value is relative. The Sky-Dweller is poor value compared to a Casio with a full perpetual calendar powered by sunlight and set by a radio link to an atomic clock. But in terms of high-end watchmaking, this almost steel Sky-Dweller is something of a bargain. Patek Philippe asks for the kind of money for its annual calendars that makes this seem like pocket change, and all without the innovations that Rolex has demonstrated here. With the costly flab of precious metal shed from the price, the Sky-Dweller in steel really does present itself as a watch to pay attention to, a true flagship of the collection. It should certainly make you think twice before you settle for the Daytona. Discover more exceptional watches at watchfinder.co.uk. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If there are any other watches you'd like to see reviewed, please let us know in the comments below.